My name is Philip Ray. I'm with Perot Systems, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you today about my philosophy on selling and what it takes to be successful in Perot Systems. I'd like to steal a phrase from Philip Vayner that I thought was particularly useful in kind of mapping out what your process is in selling. And that solution is think, listen, scope, design, plan, and sell. Let's start with the think part. Think about what you're comfortable selling. One of the traps you can easily fall into at Perot Systems is there are so many things that we sell, it's easy to not be focused on any one thing. So think about what you're comfortable selling, go after that, lead with that. If you're not comfortable selling something that's hot, for lack of a better word, and needs to be sold, be smart enough to find the resources and the subject matter experts who can help you sell that. And that's not to say you should just stay in your own comfort zone and sell only what you're comfortable selling. Once you figure out a subject matter expert who is really good at selling what needs to be sold, get comfortable in that and get out of your comfort zone and figure out how to sell that product. Think about what customers' needs are. Think about what the problem is that the customer is trying to solve. Don't think about what you want to sell or think about Perot products. Think about really what the customer wants, what the customer solution needs to be. I like to quote Stephen Covey, who is the author of the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He says, begin with the end in mind. Think about how you're going to close a deal and how you're going to work your way backwards with the little closes along the way. I'm not saying on the first call you should be thinking about, how are we going to get this customer to sign on that first call. On that first call, you want to think about how you're going to get the customer to commit their staff to doing the necessary due diligence to determine what steps need to be taken to come together with a solution for that customer. Think of the little closes.
Time out. Popped all the way off. Oh, shit. That's all right. We'll just do it again.
Okay. How am I doing?
You're doing great. You're doing great. I'm going to limit you. Real good.
Good morning. My name is Philip Ray. I'm with Perot Systems in the sales group in the Denver office. This morning I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts on what it takes to be successful in Perot Systems. I'd like to steal a phrase from Philip Vayner, and that is the sales process should be think, listen, scope, design, plan, and sell. Let's start with the think part. Think about what you're comfortable selling. One of the biggest challenges you'll have in Perot Systems is trying to get your hands around all the different things that we sell, and we sell a lot of things. Think about what you're really comfortable leading with and talking about to get that customer's interest. But don't fall in the comfort zone of selling only what you're comfortable with. Know where the subject matter experts who can help you find the expertise on those things that perhaps you're not that comfortable with. Maybe you're not an expert on business process reengineering, or maybe you're not an expert in application development. There are people in our company who are the experts. Bring them with you. Don't let your ego get the best of you and try and wing it on your own. Bring them with you, get educated in those disciplines, and get comfortable in that discipline. Set a goal once a week or once a month to get comfortable in yet another discipline. And then you're going to be more and more equipped and more comfortable with disciplines that you may not be comfortable with today. Think about what customers' needs are. Think about what the customer's solution requirements are. Don't think so much about the products, service. When I say products, I really mean service products, consulting products, not product like this coffee cup or something. Think more about what the customer's problems are and how we can map our solutions to that. When you're on the sales call, if I might quote Stephen Covey, who is the author of the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, think about beginning with the end in mind. The end is closing the deal, but closing may not necessarily be trying to sign the order on the first call, which is probably not going to happen. Closing on that first call might be getting the customer to sign up to committing their resources to working with us so that we can do the necessary due diligence to go to the next phase of the project. Closing might be getting the customer to agree to come to Dallas to visit with Ross Perot. Closing might be a whole lot of different things. But begin with that end in mind and understand how you're going to get there on that sales call. Think about all the resources that are available to you when you're prospecting. There are so many resources for prospecting. One being, perhaps the best resource for me, has been the people that I work with. The people who are on the ground at the account, who are hearing what the customer's problems are. It costs 4 times as much to find a new account as it does to take an existing account and grow it. So talk to those people, find out what those problems are, and grow that business based on what you're hearing. Look in all your available resources to find good prospects. Look in the want ads in the Denver Post or whatever your hometown happens to be. Look at online publications like CorpTech. Use internal research organizations like Gary Jenkins, who has proven to be just a wealth of information for me in finding prospect list. Look in Information Week. Look on the internet. Watch CNN. There's a business problem that'll fall out of any one of those particular sources. The second phase of the process is listen. Listen to what the customer wants. Don't just listen for clues that support what you want to sell, but really listen to what they want. This is something that perhaps all us salespeople, myself in particular, we're just really guilty of not listening well enough. We're so intent on getting our message out there and getting something out there that we want the customer to hear. The customer really wants to hear you say what they just told you. They want to hear that you're listening. So that's a very key concept, albeit fairly philosophical. Listen to the buying signs that say that you have a good fit between your corporation and their corporation. On the other hand, listen for the signs that say this is clearly not a good fit. And this is something that I struggled with early on in my sales career. I had a sales manager tell me, Philip, you just grab onto something and you just won't let go. And it may not be a good fit for our company. There are opportunities out there that really are not good fits for our company. Recognize what sells well, what maps to our capabilities, and go sell that. And if something doesn't fit, be smart enough to walk away from it. Because you're going to be using resources on a deal that doesn't fit, and we could be using those resources on a deal that does fit. So in the end, nobody wins when you force a fit that wasn't meant to be. Listen for all the pieces of the puzzle. Listen to what the customer says and read it back to him or her, and make sure that they understand that you understand what they want. Another huge piece of your success is going to be the internal sell in the Perot Systems Corporation. This is where listening is even more important. There are unlimited wants out there in this marketplace, and there are very limited resources. You need to be as focused on selling the people in the various service lines in our corporation, in selling the various executive levels in our corporation, in selling your manager in this corporation on what we're doing. You need to be able to listen to what the customer says and relay that back to them so that they can be as excited as you are about selling this deal. This is a matrix organization, it's a matrix sell, and you've got to have those people on your team and on your side. So listen what's really important to the customer and be able to relay that to our team so that they can reflect it back to the customer, number one, and number two, so they can be as excited about this opportunity as you are. The next phase is scope. A couple things on services. Services are really intangibles. Services are a promise of future delivery. Services aren't like this pen that somebody can clearly see what they're getting. The challenge in services is in selling services is making something intangible tangible. And how do you do that? You scope a solution that fits what the customer asks for, and you get them to visualize how we're going to do it. One of the things I wanted to show you is this PM100 Successful Project Delivery Attendee Workbook. Now, this might not look too exciting, but I like to bring something like this on a sales call. I can go in on a sales call to a customer and talk about how great we are doing project management. But to have something of this volume, to have something that they can see all the intricate steps and thought that went into putting something like this together, to have a deliverable from another customer, which of course you'd want to have a non-disclosure sign first, to have something like that to show them, that makes something intangible like project management very tangible. So how do you do that? You scope a solution that fits what the customer asked for. You scope a solution that reflects the solution to the problem that the customer relayed to you, and you show them something tangible that says, here's how we're going to do this. Here's a tangible representation of the scope of our solution. And I don't want to be overly redundant on this, but I'm going to say it again. We sell in a matrix environment. Be sure that what you scope has the buy-in of the delivery team, the buy-in of the financial team, the buy-in of the legal team, the buy-in of all the people who are involved for this project's success. You don't want those people to be hearing about this opportunity for the first time when you're this far away from signing it. You want to make sure that they are part of the solution, that they are part of scoping this particular deal. Planning. I don't know if it was Brian Tracy or Zig Ziglar or one of those motivational speakers, but they said failing to plan is planning to fail. And that, while that might sound cliche, it's certainly true. Another individual, I think it was Brian Tracy, who said salespeople far too often go on a sales call or in an internal meeting and they say whatever falls out of their mouth. There's no planning whatsoever. And you really need to plan your sales call. You really need to plan your internal presentation to the internal customer so that they walk out of there understanding the situation and understanding what the deliverables are, understanding who's responsible for what. One thing you don't want to have happen on any meeting is have a customer, whether that customer is internal or external, walk out of a meeting asking themselves, how am I any better off than I was before this meeting? What are my responsibilities? That should be crystal clear, and all that is part of the planning process. In the planning process, make use of all the tools that are available to you in Perot systems. Many of you, like myself, came from other corporations like IBM or GE or EDS, or there's just a whole wealth of knowledge out there and experience from other corporations. I would have to say I don't know of any corporation that has the kind of resources available to us on Train, through organizations like Gary Jenkins' research department, through individuals like Jim Champy, that gives us a better opportunity to plan. So take advantage of those resources, use those resources, and don't be guilty of going into a meeting and, as Brian Tracy said, saying whatever falls out of your mouth. Plan your sales calls. Another note on the Lotus Notes database, and again, I'm probably one of those individuals that's guilty more than most of not using that tool like I should. That is something that you have to use that helps other people to plan. Nobody likes to be at the receiving end of a fire hose when 15 deals fall in their lap in the morning. Get that information in notes. Get that information in whatever sales tool we happen to be using at any point in time, and give other people the opportunity to plan their workload. Selling. Selling is really the execution phase. Selling is what we all get paid to do. Keep in mind that selling is both an internal and an external process. Selling the customer on the fact that a trip to Dallas is beneficial to them, selling the customer on the fact that they should invest in a project definition workshop. Selling is the most critical part of this whole process, but selling really comes at the end. Make sure that all the front-end processes are done first that I mentioned here. And not to get too philosophical, but I feel compelled to mention this, don't forget to sell at home. One thing that you will find yourself doing in this job, one thing you will not find yourself doing is working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. People work 40 hours a week to survive, in my opinion. People work 60 and 70 hours a week to be successful. Make sure your family knows what you're doing. I'll take something like this document here home And while my family may not understand it, I'll show it to them, and they'll be impressed about what I'm doing. And they'll also be impressed by the rewards that are available to you when every paycheck comes in. And lastly, don't forget about the matrix organization that you work in. There's not a single salesperson in this company who has closed a deal by themselves. There's also, and there shouldn't be, a single salesperson in this company who has lost a deal by themselves. This is a team effort. Make sure that the people that you work with on any particular deal are rewarded. Make sure that they are recognized. Make sure that they know that their contribution had value. Make sure that they don't think that you closed this deal by yourself, because that doesn't happen, not in a matrix organization. So recognize those people, make sure that they're rewarded, you're going to be rewarded, and good luck in your sales career.